In 1666, playwright Molière penned Le Médecin malgré lui, or The Doctor in Spite of Himself, a biting satire about a peasant masquerading as a prominent physician, sharing ridiculous medical advice that the public ate right up. Fast forward almost 400 years, and we're seeing similar characters. In this vlog, I'm looking at a tech millionaire who reportedly injects his son's plasma, consumes 54 pills daily, and maintains an obsessive relationship with mortality. The stage may have changed, but the performance continues. My yoga journey exposed me to the deep paradoxes in the wellness industry: false sustainability claims, rampant capitalism, and cultural appropriation. Wellness can be unwell. And now we have biohacking, aka wellness on steroids. The anti-aging market is predicted to reach nearly $2.3 billion by 2032. And this is where Bryan Johnson comes in. He calls himself the most measured person in human history and has built an entire brand around his extreme anti-aging protocols. Naturally, I had to see this circus for myself. So there I was, at Johnson's $349 Don't Die Summit, trying on red light therapy masks, taking shots of olive oil, and fully prepared to use my biology degree to see past the Johnson gospel. And yes, I am pre-gaming my wellness journey with a McMuffin. I just got here and it's packed, standing room only packed, and I'm double fisting 1 cup of longevity mix in one hand and mushroom coffee in my right. Good start. Bryan stood by Dr. Mike Mallon reviewing the Blueprint supplements and the results of them via Bryan's outstanding biomarkers. They later went into microplastics, which is rich considering all their Blueprint products come in, wait for it, plastic packaging. I mean, this is basically AP Bio if your teacher was a tech bro with the God complex. At the strike of 12, we're served lunch. I picked up an adobo steak salad, which I found odd considering Bryan's Twitter storm about the dangers of red meat. Do as I say, not as I serve. And as I watched everyone desperately hanging on to Bryan's every word about longevity, I was reminded of Dorian Gray's famous line, "Youth is the only thing worth having. When I find that I am growing old, I shall kill myself." I just sat through what they called a woman's health session, and I am confused. Instead of bringing on an actual medical professional with a specialization in women's health, they brought on their chief marketing officer, Kate Tolo, to speak about the topic. She actually didn't go to medical school, nor did she even study biology, or any science for that matter. She studied fashion. Maybe in Bryan's world, a woman's health specialist requirement only means being a woman. Bryan and friends then went on to talk about how misunderstood and under-researched the field is, which is true, but there's lots of research that wasn't mentioned. And as someone who struggles with PCOS, this felt like a slap in the face not only to the integrity of medical research, but to the long fight to gain recognition in the field. And instead of pivoting to questions on the topic, Bryan then brought out his parents as living testimonials of his life's work. The crowd absolutely went wild when he mentioned how his protocols worked on his mom and stepdad, and then everyone started singing. I'm not kidding. It was like a revival meeting where aging is the devil and Bryan is the savior. Looking around, I can't believe it. They're all gonna die, Bryan's gonna die, I'm gonna die. Is that so bad? Everything needs to have an end, but this group is celebrating like they've found the fountain of youth. I can't believe what I just did. I literally dropped $900 to freeze my stem cells. What is happening to me? They sweet talked me about how they collect and bank your stem cells in a cryogenic chamber for future applications. I mean, currently they're using them for hair and skin serums, but the promise is that someday Someday, they'll be used for tissue regeneration. The sales pitch was intoxicating. "You're so young," they gushed. "If I was 24, I'd do this immediately. It's the best investment you can make. The younger the cells, the better." And I fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. 50 hairs plucked from my scalp and nearly $1,000 poorer, I had this moment of clarity where I realized I'd been completely influenced. This fear-mongering about aging and death was actually getting to me. I'm usually super careful with money, but suddenly, every product felt like a lifeline. Stem cell therapy, don't age. Red light therapy, don't feel pain. Blood testing, don't die. I was fully drinking the snake oil, and that terrified me more than aging ever could. Then again, if 30 to 40 years from now this therapy ends up keeping me looking 24, it'll be worth every penny. The Substance 2 coming to theaters near you in 2055 starring Ashmini Pereira. Then they interviewed me on camera about my experience, and honestly, as soon as that red light flashed, I'm suddenly this enthusiastic customer talking about how excited I am to preserve my precious youth essence. Research about stem cells and the history of them, because you'll see they aren't just like your standard cells. They are so powerful, and the best investments you can make are those in yourself. So kids, don't believe all the customer testimonials you watch. Some of them, aka me, just like the attention. So after 30 minutes of getting my head plucked, I came back to find a dance party, or what Bryan calls a health rave at 3:30. Okay then. The real show was the feedback session afterwards, where people were pretty much saying, "We love you, Bryan. Run for president, Bryan. Be my daddy, Bryan."
You are a very special person, and we need you on this planet.
I wanted you to speak more. It was wonderful that the doctor was with you and you get to mentor, but I was like, oh, Bryan's experience,
These people found their tribe. The please God let me live forever tribe. And Bryan knows exactly how to market to their existential dread.
Contemplated making don't die, just saying it's a religion. It is. We gotta establish rituals, we gotta establish baselines. And inevitably, if we say that, we know that hate is gonna be really intense. Right? Soldier soul is awful, it's into just like.
He went on these wild tangents about AI, religion, space travel, and with each increasingly unhinged topic, the crowd just cheered harder.
With religions and our old belief systems, how are those going to transition into something new?
So you do that exactly. Ego death cycles. Muhammad was like, hey, we're going to submit to God. Jesus said, I am the Son of God. Karl Marx said there's class warfare. The American people, the American founding fathers said, we the people. Adam Smith said, the invisible hand of capitalism. But you look at the history, there's just a very small number of ideologies that actually run the world, less than 10. I'm getting kicked off, right?
Then 5 o'clock hit, Bryan vanished, and everyone scattered like the rapture had happened. Johnson is selling longevity as a religion, complete with rituals, aka protocols, sacred texts, and salvation promises. He literally compares himself to religious figures. At one point, he said, "I'm more interested in what people of the 25th century think of me." What I witnessed was effectively the spreading of the Johnson gospel, with all his devotees lapping it up.
It makes so much sense that a new ideology will emerge right now. A new technological revolution is happening, of course.
This whole thing is one giant contradiction. A guy who claims to be advancing science by experimenting on exactly one person, himself. That's not science. That's an anecdote with a Netflix deal. I also don't want to completely nag on Bryan. I'm sure his advice has certainly helped people regain control of their health in unexpected ways, and some of his gospel is scientifically backed. But it's more so the culty nature of his messaging, his intense marketing, the extreme measures he goes to not die, that makes me cautious of hailing him as anything more than just a wellness influencer doing clickbaity things for clout, not a doctor or a scientist with actual credentials. We're all desperate to feel like we have some control over our inevitable demise. If taking 27 supplements and measuring your poop makes you feel safer, who am I to judge? Like Dorian Gray, we're all bargaining with time. But at least in the novel, Dorian eventually had to face his portrait. I wonder if Bryan Johnson will ever have to face his. But maybe, instead of spending thousands to possibly live to 120, we should focus on actually enjoying the years we do have. Anyway, that's it for my infiltration of the Don't Die Summit. Let me know in the comments if there are any other wellness cults you want me to check out. Like and subscribe for more videos. See you soon!